Hey guys, Ambience here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to beat Wednesday on FNAF 6.
Здравейте пак,
Now,
ще
as I said in the
разказвам
last video, these first few
нов
guides will
трета
be
от
covering how
fnaf
to
6.
get the completion certificate.
Част
So I
първа
won't be
ти казах
talking
за
about alternative routes for
мисията,
each
че ви
ending, how to
казах
farm
за
cash,
нощ
or
първа.
anything like that.
Но не беше само за
I'll make
нощ
guides
първа
for
и за
every
нощ
ending
втора.
eventually,
И
but for
това е
now
само за
we're
нощ
just going to be
трета.
focusing on surviving the night. As such, go ahead and click the finished button without buying anything and start up the night. At the start of the night, turn on the silent ventilation, turn off the fan, and start an advertising task. These are the loudest and most time-consuming tasks, so you'll want to get them out of the way quickly. While you're doing this, turn to face one of the vents. If an animatronic starts heading toward you from that direction, this will reduce the chance of them attacking you to 0%, which is a massive advantage. Once the task finishes, shut off the terminal and wait. Listen carefully for the sound of something moving in the vents. Be sure to wear headphones or you won't be able to tell which side the animatronic is coming from. Start a countdown of 8 seconds. Every time that you hear something move in the vents, reset the timer. Once you haven't heard something for 8 seconds, turn the terminal and fan back on, check the motion detector if you want to, and turn silent ventilation back on. Then start another task and turn the fan off again after a few seconds. If you have enough cash from the previous salvages, you'll also definitely want to buy some upgrades. You can find these under the equipment section next to your tasks. There are 3 upgrades and they all help tremendously. Some allow you to do tasks faster and others reduce the amount of noise that tasks produce. If you followed the previous guide and completed both salvages, you should have just enough cash to purchase every upgrade. Now you might have noticed that I haven't really talked much about the audio lure yet. I mentioned it briefly in the first guide, but I never really talked about how you should use it. So I'll go ahead and explain that now. Don't. By using the audio lure, you risk triggering William Afton's PTSD from FNAF 3, causing him to go into a psychotic rage and kill you instantly. In all seriousness, using the audio lure is actually pretty likely to get you killed by Afton or another animatronic. It usually only affects one animatronic at a time unless you get really lucky, meaning that it's only a viable strategy if there's only one animatronic in the building, which is obviously not what we want for the completion ending. It's pretty easy for an animatronic to escape the audio lure anyway. Instead, you should be actively listening out for banging in the vents while doing a task. If the noise is coming from the vent that you're currently facing, you'll be fine and can continue with your task. Just make sure to keep facing that way. If the noise is coming from the other side, however, don't be afraid to immediately shut off the terminal and turn around so fast that you get whiplash. You'll want to be facing the opposite vent as soon as possible. Speaking of which, now is a good time to briefly touch on how you can tell which side an animatronic is on. As I said earlier, headphones are extremely important for this game, and so is having your volume at a fairly high level similar to FNAF 4. If you're facing the terminal, which you should rarely be doing, you'll hear noises from the left in your left ear and noises from the right in your right ear. Simple enough. However, if you're facing a vent, it'll work a bit different. If the noise is coming from the side that you're currently facing, it'll play in both ears at the same time. If it's on the opposite side, you'll only hear it in one ear. The left ear if you're facing the right, and the right ear if you're facing the left. You'll basically be repeating the same strategy for the remainder of the night. To recap, turn on silent ventilation and turn off the fan. Start a task, face a vent, and shut off the terminal once it finishes. Listen for sounds, wait 8 seconds, and remember to turn around if you hear a noise from the opposite side. Once you haven't heard anything in the vents for 8 seconds, turn the terminal and fan back on, check the motion detector, and rinse and repeat. This strategy pretty much guarantees success. All you need is a bit of patience and some good headphones. The only possible thing that can go wrong is if Molten Freddy and Scrap Trap end up in opposite vents at the same time. In this case, the best thing that you can do is turn off everything and pick a vent to look at. Once you don't hear noises there for a few seconds, turn to the other vent. Even if you have everything turned off, there's a 10% chance of something killing you from a vent that you're not looking at. This is unlikely to happen and even more unlikely to actually get you killed, but just be aware that it can happen. Otherwise, this strategy is foolproof. Once you finish the night and log out, you'll once again proceed to the salvage phase. This time, you'll be salvaging Scrap Baby, aka the animatronic version of Edward Scissorhands. As always, you'll want to proceed with the salvage. In order to get the completion ending, you must have all 4 animatronics in the building by Saturday, and this is an easy way to guarantee that. As long as you've already purchased all the upgrades and don't need extra cash, it technically doesn't matter if you lose this salvage or not. Scrap Baby will enter the pizzeria either way. But hey, who wants to experience an unnecessary jump scare? If you want to try and defeat her, here's what to do. This salvage is overall very similar to the last two. Scrap Baby has 3 positions ranging from least hostile to most hostile. I'll show all 3 positions on the screen now. During the salvage, Henry will play 5 audio prompts, each one longer than the last. After each audio prompt, you'll have to flip up the checklist and decide if the animatronic reacted to the audio prompt or not. There's actually a few things about this sequence that you may not know. First, you don't actually have to check an option, only flip the checklist up and down. Second, the animatronic won't move at all during the audio prompt, only when you look away. When Scrap Baby is in stage 1 or 2, there's no need to worry. If she reaches stage 3, however, you should shock her immediately. If you don't, you'll be jump scared in a few seconds. There's also a secondary trigger for Baby's jump scare that not a lot of people know about. Like Molten Freddy and Scrap Trap, there's a noise unique to Scrap Baby that can play at random. It can be hard to hear over the tape, and you only have a few seconds to react to it and shock Baby before she jump scares you. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a longer clip of this noise, but I was able to capture it for a second or two. Here's what it sounds like. As you can hear, it's an odd type of clicking sound. It's pretty similar to Molten Freddy's sound, but not the exact same. I highly recommend pausing the tape every 10 to 15 seconds and listening for a few seconds. If you hear the noise, shock Baby. If you don't, resume the tape. Remember, if you shock Baby more than 3 times, the salvage value will start to decrease. Still, $1,000 should be more than enough to buy everything that you need for the completion ending, so don't be afraid to shock 4 times. Well, that's all for now. Follow these instructions, and you should be one step closer to obtaining the completion certificate. Huge thanks to my good friend Acro, otherwise known as Acrobat the Dragon, for helping me out with this script. I was having a hard time writing this one, but was eventually able to get it done in only one night with his help. He's planning to start making content on YouTube soon, and I'll be appearing in quite a few of his videos, so go check him out. His channel is linked in the description as well as in the cards. Huge thanks to another friend of mine, Hyper, as well. He's made the thumbnails for the last few videos, and they look spectacular. His channel is also linked below. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or to join my community Discord server. By joining the Discord server, you can get personalized tips on any FNAF game from myself, TruePlayer, Ches, and a bunch of other FNAF experts and content creators. It's a great community.